What's going on, everybody? This is Batchon, CEO of BeatStars, and I'm chilling here with hot new hip hop. Yeah, I'm the CEO of BeatStars. It's a global music beat licensing platform where music producers upload beats and recording artists and songwriters license beats. Over 1.5 million beats are available on the platform. Over 500,000 songs are created on the platform every single month. And we just hit a really cool milestone of paying out over $50 million to music producers all around the world. And so, yeah, we're just a hub, we're a network, we're a technology company that creates apps, do-it-yourself websites, and just an overall platform for producers and artists to make songs together. I grew up in Hayward, California, right outside of Oakland, California, in the East Bay of the Bay Area. Spent most of my adolescent years there and really was engulfed in hip hop and introduced to hip hop from a neighborhood hero of ours who was Spice One. And Spice One is a legendary gangster rapper, one of the most influential rappers in the Bay Area. And growing up in the 90s, he made a huge impact on us and everyone in our neighborhood to just fall in love with music. So some of the things that I used to love doing, man, I wrote a lot of poetry, wrote a lot of raps. I built BeatStars initially to fill a void in my life because I wanted to sucker the best producers in the world to give me their beats for me to write to. And then it turned into a business that's now serving millions of recording artists all over the world. Luckily, I don't rap anymore, so you don't have to hear my garbage songs anymore. But yeah, it all started out with a passion for music and just solving a problem that I felt like people like myself wanted to connect with more versatile creators, more music makers, and it just naturally progressed into what BeatStars is today. I went to high school, graduated by the skin of my teeth because I had a teacher that just loved me and gave me a passing grade to finish off the year. When I entered in my senior year of high school, I was considered a sophomore in terms of credits. So I knew it wasn't going anywhere in school. It's just one of those things. I'm not saying that kids should not go to school, but school just wasn't for me. I didn't have a passion for learning in the traditional way. I'm a very hands-on learner, very visual learner. I love to experiment. I was an entrepreneur at like 12 years old, 13 years old. I was buying computer parts, living in Silicon Valley off of the newspaper, ordering computer parts, putting computers together, workstations, and selling them to my neighbors and family members. So I've been hustling and slanging tech since I was a kid. And I always knew that, even with the jobs that I did have, I was always butting heads with the executives and everyone there because I always had vision. That I was just able to see things a lot clearer and further down the pipeline of where a company should be. And so I knew that working for someone else, I was never going to see those things into fruition, So I always knew that it was going to be tough for me to, work a 9-to-5, which I did. And I put my hours in, but I just knew that if I was going to make an impact in this world, if I was going to do something that was going to change the landscape in music, it's going to have to be done, on my own. I didn't have an educational background. I didn't finish college. I might've took a couple classes here and there, but just life steered me in this entrepreneurial way where I just, had a passion for creating my own products, just like an artist creates an album. It's the same concept. I love creating products. I love solving problems with technology and just being part of young people's lives and helping them navigate this new world, this new social world, this new industry that we live in. Yeah, in 2000, I would say 2004, 2005, I was just like every other artist in the world, posting music on any available like social network. And at that time it was MySpace, right? It was just like pumping music on MySpace, getting people to listen to your music. I got my 4 songs up there and we were racking up plays. And I was like, yo, this is pretty powerful when you think about it, how now I can circumvent traditional industry and I can go direct to consumer. I can go direct to these fans. And I was just addicted to it, man. So I had the concept of BeatStars back in the 90s, like in 96, 97. I was in AOL chat rooms buying beats from producers in AOL chat rooms. And I would negotiate and barter and, throw, hey man, here's $30. Just send me the beat. I don't care if you sell it again, just send me the beat. And that's where it all started. I knew that technology can liberate an artist, if utilized in the right way. And so I just love the ability to connect with people from all over the world with tech that I was like, I have to be a part of this. And so when I was doing this as an artist, when I was buying beats in these chat rooms, I was like, yo, there's probably millions of artists out there that need the same service that just wasn't available. The beat market was really black market. There was nothing credible. There was no license agreements. There was no delivery of high quality files and studio files and stems. It was just super, super wild, wild west. And I'm like, yo, I'm gonna solve this when I get some money. And then luckily, after working at Ingrooves, shout out to my cousin Ghazi, who runs Empire now, got me an internship at Ingrooves and worked my way up to helping him with content development and signing artists. I working with Macklemore, the Locks, Immortal Technique, Tech Nine, Killer Mike, Slaughterhouse, Royce. I helped a lot of these guys in the early days of understanding digital distribution, digital music, how to get a release up on iTunes. And this is like 2006, 2007. So, but I still was not getting the fulfillment of like, man, this is not my baby, right? This is not, the idea that I have, I feel like can make a greater impact among young people. So I said, I'm gonna venture out, and try to do this on my own, try to do something that a lot of producers were always hitting me up, telling me, yo, where's iTunes for producers? Where's a place where I can make money with my music? And so the void was there, and I just decided to quit my job, borrowed $2,000 from wifey. She gave me $2,000 to hire my first engineer, who's still with us to this day from 2008. And now we're a team of 22 people. But, she believed in me, and she said, yeah, I believe you could do this thing. You have a passion for music. It's the only thing I know how and could stick with. Everything else just didn't stick. And so I just went and just dove right in with my passion, man. And now, we're helping young people all over the world, Yeah, the non-exclusive, I couldn't afford it. My family didn't come from a very rich background living in Hayward. My family's a bunch of refugees from Palestine. So, we didn't have the expendable income to go and spend thousands of dollars on exclusive licenses. So for me, it was all about, non-exclusive. And shout out to a producer named Showdown, who I met in the chat room, and then who directed me to like a website he had where he was, had a credit card form where I could pay him for the non-exclusive. And shout out to him, because he was the first producer that I bought a non-exclusive license from. So I didn't come up with the idea itself. I saw a couple guys doing it really early on in the 90s. And so, but yeah, it just made sense. It just made sense to me. It just made sense that from a producer's perspective, wouldn't you rather want to have a higher probability of your beat being rapped on by or sung on by singers by more than just one person that may potentially just shelve the song, may potentially record a really crappy song to it. Rather, why don't you give yourself an opportunity to democratize the process of the song creation and have thousands of artists take a shot at making a hit record with your beat. And at the same time, you still maintain your rights, and the artist also still maintains his rights. And it's kind of, the norm now. These handful of producers that were in my immediate reach, that believed in the concept, let me just see if I can generate a little bit of income for them. It was a really closed environment. It wasn't open to what it is today on a membership model. It was very closed, invite only. It was really highly curated. And I thought, oh, maybe I can create a blog that kind of highlights and showcases like the best beats that I can find, and I can draw attention and draw an audience this way. So initially I didn't think it was going to be, you know, this platform that now is a technology company and with mobile apps and do-it-yourself storefronts and websites and distribution and all this kind of stuff. At first, it was like, man, I'm just a music head. I just wanted to feature some of the best beats that I found from producers that I loved. And then I started getting phone calls and people emailing and like, yo, I want to buy this beat. I want to, you know, can I pick this up? And I'm like, yo, okay, shit. The first month it was like 10 grand. And I'm like, okay, maybe we can turn this thing into a business. And then just kept slowly, organically adding features that, you know, that never happened before. I smoked a lot of weed back in the day. And so I would get inspired at night just thinking about, you know, features and how can I disrupt and how can I add stuff that's never been done in music history. I wanted to make history. So I'd sit up late at night, high as hell, just coming up with ideas like collaborator splits, adding collaborators to a track, and then paying each one of them out at the point of transaction. In 2008, no one ever did that. I was like, yo, this is, yeah, still struggle. So it's like, you know, this stuff was never done. Or, you know, filtering and searching and, you know, basically just all the stuff that you see on BeatStars today, just like, you know, all the do-it-yourself tools, these are all industry first. A lot of this stuff was never there. So for me, it was just a challenge. Like, yo, I could do this from my bedroom, just like a music producer in his bedroom making a beat. Yo, this one beat could turn into a hit. I was cooking. I was just cooking ideas. And luckily I had, you know, met an engineer in Toronto. Shout out to Joe Aguilar, who's still with us today, the first engineer. And he just saw my vision. He was young. He was still learning how to code. And, you know, he brought a lot of these visions to life. And yeah, I didn't expect it. Didn't expect all this, man. And I can't take credit for it because, you know, there's just some things in life you can't really explain. You know what I mean? Like certain things that happen in your life, the certain paths you go in. I've always surrendered my life to God. I always had God dictate which way to go. And I don't know if this is the proper platform to talk about God, but for me personally, he played a big role in my life to drive me to where I'm at. And I'm pretty much a high school dropout, you know, and now I'm running the biggest beat marketplace in the world. So some things sometimes you can't really explain. I mean, from an investor standpoint, you know, we've never raised a penny. We've been doing this bootstrap since day one. We did a small like crowdfunding campaign on Indiegogo, and where, you know, our community actually invested into BeatStars. Our members invested and got equity ownership, and we raised like $150,000. That was the only time. And the only reason why we did it was because we always serve our community. We always all about empowering our community as music entrepreneurs, you know? So we wanted to have them be rewarded for the platform that they're helping us build. And, you know, thankfully like 400 or 500 of our members invested in that campaign and now have ownership and, you know, are going to ride along this journey with us. But from a producer standpoint, getting the producers to buy in was not really hard. I'll tell you because there just wasn't nothing credible at the time. There wasn't anything streamlined. Like there was no instant delivery of files and license agreements that made their lives easy. So when they immediately caught wind, like, oh shit, I could just upload beats to BeatStars and they handle the delivery of files, they handle the delivery of agreements, and store all my high quality stems, and they just do everything automated in the cloud. They're like, yo, sign me up. And this word of mouth just spread that, yo, this is the platform, you know, you need to be on. And it was no specific event because it's been organically just growing 100% every single year for the past 11 years. We've been growing double every single year. And so it's been a long journey. There was not one specific event that took us to like, you know, a whole new level. It's just been a gradual evolution of technology, features, and the evolution of how people use social media and how people use, you know, YouTube and SoundCloud, and how everyone has become a creator in a sense, right? So everyone is searching for everyone's searching for an audience now. So everyone can believe that, hey man, if I buy a beat on BeatStars, I might hit it big I might go viral on YouTube, or I might go viral on SoundCloud, I might go viral on Spotify, whatever, or TikTok, or all these social platforms where literally you're one song away from like your whole life changing. And the biggest example of that is, Old Town Road, that was, purchased on BeatStars, that beat. And so, but those scenarios have been happening over time. I think Panda was probably the biggest example of a beat that was bought on the internet. I think it was bought on YouTube. That, man, turned into a #1 Billboard track. And I think Young M.A., that Ooh track was bought off of the producer off the internet. And so, man, I started to see a trend of like, wow, these hits are coming from the web. I think Tory Lane was doing it, Bryson Tiller, so many different, even J. Cole says he searches on the internet for beats. Joey Badass is always looking for beats on the internet. So it's just this young generation, they utilize technology a little bit different, and they're all about efficiency, and they're all about, what's in the palm of my hands? Can I discover something in the palm of my hands? And does this beat fit my story? And that's the beauty about like this whole process of song creation with BeatStars and the artist and producer, because the artist really does not care about the name recognition of the producer. Does that sound fit my story is like the biggest indicator, or the biggest like influence of when an artist wants to use a beat. So it's beautiful to see that in our industry, it's not about hype, it's not about fluff, it's not about all the bullshit that comes along in with social media. It's all about, is this producer talented enough to make it to the top? It's all sales driven. It's all, engagement driven. So it's beautiful to see the most talented dudes and girls, really, really hit their stride on the platform. I wear a lot of hats. Right now, thankfully we're able to build out a very talented group of people at the company, having a really seasoned CTO, really seasoned marketing people, really seasoned operation people. In the beginning stages, I touched on all this stuff. I mean, I was literally customer support. I was graphic designer. I was product engineer. I was business development. You name it, I did it all, in the beginning days. And I feel like you have to, as an entrepreneur, you got to be able to do all these job titles so you can appreciate the people you bring into your world, the people that you are selling to believe in your company, your product. You got to appreciate what they contribute to the overall vision of the company. But for me, on a day-to-day right now, I'm spending a lot of my time doing business development, helping the marketing team with vision and like direction, and also just like overseeing product, just from a higher level, like laying out roadmap for the next 12 to 18 months on what new products we're going to introduce, what new features. We're going to release a new app, we're going to release a new service, and kind of flushing that out and how it lives in our ecosystem. So just higher level stuff at this point. Not deep in the weeds like I used to be, but I learned that the hard way that you're going to burn yourself out trying to do everything, and it got really stressful. It got really stressful for me because I was a control freak at the time. And I wanted to control how every communication is going, everything, like people's work ethic. Like I was trying to control everything, and that just is not the way. You have to trust your people. You got to love your people. You got to trust your people. You got to trust in their abilities. And ever since I kind of let go of that and gave our team members their own space, or brought on team members to fill a void in the company that's missing, that's causing a lot of, just things that are just not efficient. And then, once we started implementing some of these processes, the engine started working, and people started focusing on their strengths. And so it's just beautiful to be able to kind of sit now as a CEO and really like just manage from a higher level and make sure that the team's bought into the vision, and just recruiting the best possible people to come join us. I would say my favorite my favorite part of BeatStars is like A&R, listening to beats, man. Just like discovering the next dope producer. I was addicted to that at one point, and I wish I had time to go back to be able to listen to thousands of beats a day. I still take some days off where all I do is just listen to just new producers and new beats. That was my number one passion in this whole thing. But yeah, my time is filled with so much other shit now. It's going to be hard to go back to those days. Well, at least customer support. Customer support was the worst experience I've ever had at any job, and doing it for BeatStars, in the early days was tough. But I understood that it's a new economy, it's a new business model. Not everyone understood how the product worked or what's the norm of things, and we were still just getting started. So a lot of things were, not fleshed out the way they are now. So it was tough dealing because we're an international company. So some people are communicating from different countries and different languages, and I'm like, oh fuck, how the fuck do I respond to this dude? But yeah, that was challenging. But yeah, I mean I'm glad I'm not doing that anymore. I think one of the major obstacles, I didn't believe in myself enough. I think I could have been here already if I believed in myself more 4 or 5 years ago. We all have these insecurities and these anxieties about being, doing something in the industry and trying to be, relevant and trying to get credibility and trying to get known for all the things that, all the things we're passionate about. The moment I learned that if you let go and just like focus, like laser focus on the development of yourself emotionally, mentally, being prepared, just preparing yourself more for all types of situations, was the day that I woke up and I woke up and said, fuck it. Like, I don't give a fuck. Like we're gonna go for it all, right? We're gonna go for it all. And it's gonna take patience. It's gonna take a lot of dedication. It's gonna take a lot of work, but stop trying to make shit happen overnight. The moment I embrace that this shit is not gonna happen overnight, and all the people that say no to you and all the the partners that you want to have believe in you and they don't want to work with you, or or even media does not want to cover you and things like that. You can't take all this stuff personal. Like, you really have to sit back and just focus on your own personal development, your company's development, keep getting better, and just really like believe that you can actually do this, man. Because coming from where I'm from, this doesn't happen, right? There's it's a very rare occurrence. So you get sucked into believing that since no one else around me was able to become a successful entrepreneur, or no one in my community was, you start getting sucked into believing that you're not able to do it. And so the moment you start saying, fuck it, I'm equal to everyone else out here, I'm capable, just as capable as everyone else out here, I can educate myself, I can put myself in the right position and learn this business inside and out, where I'm a master of this trade. You start believing you can do it. That's what puts you over the hump. That's it. The first moment for me that grounded me on this earth was going back to Palestine, where I'm from, and going back to the refugee camps where my people were put into, and seeing firsthand where I could have been, right? And seeing the struggle and seeing the injustice around that's being applied to my people made me come back with a sense of like appreciation and gratitude for everything. And then also applying that same gratitude to everyone I meet, right? And that was a big moment, because even though you can live in the hood in America, there's nothing like hoods and refugee camps and third world countries, right? We're still spoiled compared to some of the dire situations that people are living in, right? So it changed my whole perspective. So even if my conditions were not the most ideal where I was living in America, it still was better, and it still was. I was still fortunate. You know what I mean? But still made me want to fight for creating a name for myself. So that was a huge thing. Like, I wanted to make my people proud. I wanted to leave a legacy on this earth that, you know, my family can remember me for, you know, my people. And the second is losing my grandma. She raised me. I shared a room with her up until I was like 17, 18 years old. Losing her was huge, because she was a really, really strong woman and instilled a lot of strength in me. You know, she lost her husband at like 25 years old. She had 4 kids with him. He had 4 kids before her. So from his wife, my grandpa's wife that passed. So she had raised 8 kids by herself. She was a seamstress living in war-torn country, in a war-torn situation, and was still able to make it. And so her strength just rubbed off. You know, she knew that, hey, you got to save for a rainy day. You can't be out here spending. You can't just be reckless with your money. You got to respect money, even though, you know, we shouldn't be worshiping money, but you respect it. Respect that money is going to, can change any condition that you're living in, you know, whether it's like how you're living or how you provide for your family and the type of future you can provide for your children. So you got to respect it. Don't be wasteful of it. So she taught me that money management, which was really really big, especially when you're trying to run a business and you're not getting any funding and you're just like trying to budget every little thing you do as you grow. So having an appreciation for it, that she taught me, was huge. And I would say the third thing, just my kids, having my kids, man, you know, waking up knowing that I don't live for myself anymore, right? This is not just my journey anymore. Like, I have other purpose in this world, right? Like, I have to watch over these little ones. I got to guide them in this world. Like, I have a different type of responsibility. I can't be reckless, can't be stupid. And so they tighten me up, you know, and definitely give me the inspiration to keep moving, keep pushing, you know, keep this legacy going. My advice to up and coming producers right now is try to get your content in as many hands as possible. Work with as many artists as you can. Find artists that may be undiscovered, maybe have not had a lot of, you know, light shine on them, because if you build something substantial with them and help them grow, you'll see your own like career grow as well. But at the same time, set up your own shops, set up your own businesses, be an entrepreneur, take ownership in your communication and how you deal directly with your consumer. Be consistent with your products. Don't half-ass it. If you have any doubt with your abilities, you know, work on mastering your craft. Work at it every single day until you feel comfortable. But at the same time, don't get over analytical to the point where you're not finishing a beat and you're just like constantly in the draft phase of making music. Finish everything you start. Like, get in the habit of finishing everything you start. Pay attention to the charts. Find out why certain music resonates. Dissect the beats in all these hit songs that are on the charts. Dissect them to the T. Find out what are these elements that really resonate with a human's brain. Like, really, what is it? Tempo? Is it the mood? Is it the acoustics? Is it the mix? What is it you're lacking in your career? If you're lacking in your mix, hone in on your mix. Like, go crazy until you really understood the art of mixing. It's super important. You know what they say, man, like the saying where the eye eats first, right? The eye eats first. Before we take a bite of a food, the eye eats. The same thing with music. The ear eats first. And if your music is not mixed well, if it's not polished, it's just going to go over people's heads and they're going to be irritated by the sound and they're going to move on to the next producer. So focus on that. Connect with your fans. Be grateful always of your customers. Communicate with your customers. Respect your customers, because your customers always will appreciate you for your service, and they will become return customers for you too as well. Don't stop fucking dreaming, man. Let's, don't think that, where you're at is where you're going to end up. Tomorrow can change anything if you continue to work at it. It took me 11 years to build this shit. Like, a lot of work, so it doesn't happen overnight. I was in my 20s when I started, 24, 25 years old. So it's not going to happen overnight. Don't expect it to. Don't expect things to just be handed to you. I'm going off on a rant right now. Work hard, motherfuckers. Work hard. Yeah, I think producers need to embrace all elements of business, and branding, identity is all a big part of that. How are you going to differentiate yourself from everyone else in the game? Like how do you think you're going to catch someone's eye in this very, very noisy social media world that we live in, right? Is it going to be your tag? Is it going to be, your graphics and your design and your logos? Is it going to be your imagery on social media? Like, what is it that's going to set you apart? And you have to constantly think about this. And the one big thing that people always forget, and it's 90% of why people fail in anything they do, is just the consistency. Being consistent, like constantly releasing product, constantly releasing content, whatever it is, like being constantly engaged, like being consistently all about your business, your brand. Live it. Look at me. I'm like a walking billboard everywhere I go. I don't give a fuck. This is my brand. I love it. I built it from the ground up, and I'm never going to take this hat off, and I'm going to embed this imagery in people's brains forever, because you know why? I want to be a successful entrepreneur. I want to build something that's lasting. So if you're not willing to put your own logo on your hat, you're not willing to put, a tag on your beats with your own unique style and twist to it, if you're not willing to go the next level on design and consistency, man, then it's not going to be a fun road ahead of you. And you're just going to be constantly hit with disappointment. Hip hop production continues to evolve. And the beauty about it is we get to kind of hear it first a little bit on BeatStars before like a sound really starts to become a sound. We start to hear some of that trend early on. I don't know exactly where it's going to go next, but the beauty about where music is right now, you're hearing artists from a vast array of different genres and subgenres all be successful. So the notion of like only one sound has to be the next big sound, I feel like those days are gone now, because people are all about, honing in on their own taste. And sometimes our taste changes on a day-to-day basis, like one day I'll be listening to the dopest like lo-fi beats on BeatStars, and then I'll hear some guitar infused trap beats that I'm like, fuck, this shit is dope as fuck, right? And it's really what we feel like, what our appreciation is for that moment, that day. And that's what like technology is bringing to us with like AI and machine learning, and like kind of exploring new relatable genres and subgenres and moods to be like, oh, I want to discover this after I listen to this. And these tech companies and all these, YouTube's algorithm and just Spotify as well, like they're really doing a good job at kind of giving us relatable music that we listen to, but down maybe a different lane. So going forward, artificial intelligence is going to continue telling us what we should be listening to. I know it sounds weird, right? It's like, fuck, a robot's going to be telling me what I should be into. But there's just so much damn music that you just get lost in the discovery. Like, it's really hard to like, where are you going to start? Like, seriously, like, where are you going to start? It's really tough. And I mean, unless you're like looking at what's trending on Twitter and it's all negative stuff, right? Or, what's trending on YouTube, and you kind of get thrown in that direction. But I think the smart companies like Spotify are doing a great job at like tweaking our taste a little bit and adding little little differentiators with the type of music that they're recommending to us. And I think that's where, where things are going to go. We have thousands of producers that are making a living on the platform, not tied down to their geographic territory where they're, you don't have to be in New York and LA anymore to make a living with the music. It's kind of like a trade now. It's like, okay, cool. I'm going to learn this craft of this trade of making music. I'm going to get good at it. I'm going to be great at it. And there's a possibility for me to actually make a living doing this, selling it direct to consumer on the internet. And there's thousands of producers on BeatStars making a living with this mentality where they're happy because they're able to do what they love to do, is make music. At the core of it, they just want to make music. And secondly, they're entrepreneurs. They're financially free. They're able to provide for their families. They're able to, do all the amazing things that they can do without all the shine and limelight too. Some people don't want it. Some people do. There's a lot of producers that want that, the shine. They want all the attention, and they feel like if they don't get that, they're not solidified in the game, right? But there's a lot of producers on BeatStars like, yo, I don't want no one knowing who I am, to be honest with you. I just want to make a living. Just want to make my dope beats. I want to, not be on the radar all the time. And they enjoy that. And they do that from anywhere across the globe, whether it's like Saigon, Vietnam, or Johannesburg, South Africa, or Amsterdam, or China, South Korea, everywhere, Latin America, like anywhere around the world, you can find members on BeatStars making a living. So it's just beautiful to see that happen for our community. We just launched our Android app and our iOS app. And so we know that mobile is the future, of course, right? Mobile, we're not going backwards. These handheld computers are in our hands forever, right? And that's how people are connecting. That's how people are consuming media. So we're going to heavily bet on mobile. So with the release of these marketplace apps, that is the first introduction to our mobile initiatives. But we have a ton of other mobile apps that are coming right after that do different functions and do provide different services. We're just going to try to continue doing what we do best, right? Bridging that relationship between the artist and producer. Producers can sell sound kits on BeatStars. They can sell services for mixing, mastering, sell loop kits, drum kits, but we need to do a better job at making all these different products visible. And so we'll be continuing to tweak, enhance, and optimize all the technology we have. And then we have a couple other big announcements that I can't make just yet because we haven't signed on the dotted line yet, but that's going to help bridge the relationship between the internet and the industry. And so the industry's starting to pay attention to what we're doing, and they're seeing BeatStars as like a viable A&R tool. And so we're working with a lot of the major labels to kind of help facilitate some of their releases and stuff. So we're excited about doing some of that stuff, which we'll announce officially. So the ultimate goal for BeatStars, I believe, for me personally, what I would love to see, I would love for it to be the premier music making hub for every type of industry, whether it's music, whether it's like sync licensing, whether it's the major labels, the publishing. I would love for BeatStars to be the epicenter of all these songs that are created, all these beats that are created, for years to come.